On March 10, 2022, an elderly woman was hailing a cab near her Manhattan apartment. As 87-year-old Barbara Maier Gustern waited for her ride, a woman she didn't know crossed over to her side of the street, shouted a curse, and shoved the old lady from behind. Her head collided with the pavement, resulting in a deep gash and severe trauma to the left part of her brain. Before she lost consciousness, she managed to tell a friend, "I've never been hit so hard in my life." She also gave as much detail to the police as she could before succumbing to her injuries. But she didn't know the woman that pushed her or why she would have done it. It was a completely random attack, and for Barbara's family, a particularly devastating one. 5 days later, she died in the hospital. Meanwhile, as the community grieved, the hunt for her attacker began. It takes a special kind of awful to go out of your way to push a random old lady, whatever the intention behind it may have been. Everyone wanted to know the assailant's identity, and more importantly, they wanted justice on Barbara's behalf. According to witnesses, the woman responsible was seen in an altercation with her male companion a little over 5 minutes after pushing the senior citizen. A few minutes after that, she was still hanging around the area watching the first responders as they hurried to assist her victim. Eventually, the woman and the man left and caught a ride home on the subway. Now, thanks to the nearby security cameras, the police got a pretty clear look at their perpetrator. Although finding her would still take a while, and whoever this person was, she seemed like she was laying low. On March 19th, the police finally got a lead. An anonymous caller had a name for them: Lauren Pazienza. After a little digging, the investigators decided to follow up, and she fit the physical description of the attacker to a T. 26-year-old Lauren had a reputation for being a mean girl. According to the neighbors in her building quoted by the New York Daily News, she was known for being trouble and often had, quote, friction with people in the building. Classmates from her elementary and high school days remember her being a bit of a bully. A quick review of the subway footage from the night of the attack lined up with the footage taken from Lauren's building shortly afterward, which showed her walking up to her apartment with a man who turned out to be her fiancé, and she was wearing the same clothes as the woman from the crime scene. There was just one problem. Now that her face was plastered all over the city in connection with Barbara's death, Lauren herself was nowhere to be found. Thanks to a tip, investigators had a pretty good idea where she might be. When they paid her parents a visit on March 21st, they were immediately turned away. But Lauren gave herself up the next day. Police alleged that she went to a lot of trouble to stay hidden. For one thing, she deleted all her social media accounts. After this digital purge, not even the website dedicated to planning her June wedding would remain. But she didn't stop there. The day after Barbara died, Lauren fled to her parents in Long Island. And the day after that, she hid her phone at her aunt's house. And now that she's behind bars, it's hard to know what her punishment might eventually be, or why it happened in the first place. What we do know is that she's been charged with manslaughter and assault. Her lawyer, whose long list of high-profile clientele includes the likes of Harvey Weinstein and Rudy Giuliani, argues that Lauren has been overcharged in the wake of Barbara's death. Because, sure, she totally pushed an old lady, but it's not like she pushed an old lady in front of a bus, right? That's his actual argument. I wish I was joking. So, what happens next? Well, we'll have to see. If she's convicted of manslaughter, she could face up to 25 years in prison. On March 26, 2022, hundreds of mourners gathered at the Church of the Holy Apostles, where Barbara Gustern once volunteered in the soup kitchen. And she was a talented vocal coach that worked on Broadway in her earlier years. And according to Vanity Fair, she was Debbie Harry's vocal coach at one time. Or, as you might know her, Blondie. And her students all loved her dearly. As the people who knew her best try to process her loss, there also is no doubt that they're keeping an eye on what might happen next. And we are too. If you want to keep up on this case and other crimes in half the time, remember to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a recap. Until next time, take care.